Welcome to Doc Talk. We are here to talk about the worst mistakes sellers make with waterfront homes.
Picking an agent that actually doesn't know the body of water that their lake house is on.
We see it all too often.
All the time.
I know that sounds really amateur and that it doesn't happen all the time, but this is almost a daily basis. Almost every day. We've physically comb through for our clients, for our buyers, when the listing agent makes those mistakes. Like every day, our team combs through all the listings that come out that are waterfront to make sure that they are on the body of water that they are actually supposed to be on.
For example, we sit on a lake right here called Lake Dunlap, which is an impound of the Guadalupe River. If you have an agent that doesn't understand that all of this section is called Lake Dunlap, your property may be marketed as Guadalupe River. Well, guess what? If you're signed up on our website, or maybe on a Zillow or a realtor.com, if you happen to still be looking there, we would love to have you. But if you're there and you have Lake Dunlap set up as a search, you will never see that listing. Mm-hmm. And you talk about missing your mark. That is about as bad as it gets.
It is crazy. I think right now we have a hidden listing tracker internally, and I think there's like 142 listings on the Guadalupe Lakes and Highland Lakes that are incorrectly listed by the listing agent. It is a huge disservice to their seller because they have, maybe a small 10% of the market that they should have for that house, and it happens on LBJ in the Colorado River section of LBJ.
Travis. They do Colorado River for Lake Travis as well. So
and Lake Austin. There's an $11 million house on Lake Austin listed as the Colorado River.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. If you're watching this, I'm sorry.
Can we talk about another kind of sensitive subject? And I had this conversation with a client recently. So another big mistake that sellers are making before they get to that point is pricing their waterfront homes. So I work on the buyer side, and these nice young ladies and gentlemen work on the seller side. So how is that conversation right now? Like when you're discussing this with a waterfront seller, how big of a process is educating them on that particular marketplace right now? Like what you're seeing foot traffic wise and, from a pricing recommendation standpoint. I see so many places that get overlisted by hundreds of thousands, or I've seen listings that I think are $1 million over asking. Mm-hmm. And that's a critical mistake. But how does that?
So whether it's an agent or it's a seller request, right? We have some agents that just want to put a sign in the yard.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah. And so they're okay with taking an overpriced listing. Either they don't know what it's really worth, or they just want to pick up the buyers and be able to sell them something else. So that's part of it.
Free billboard space is what they're looking for.
Yeah, on the water.
Now, we're trying to price our properties to sell. Like, we don't want to just put the sign on the yard. We want to get them sold because it does me no good. It does the seller no good just to collect listings.
So would you say sellers they just get very price conscious and they go with the agent just because they give them the best price?
I think
not based on anything else. Is that's a mistake that people fall? Yeah.
Yeah. Typically after the second or third agent, they typically call us and they're like, "Hey, why haven't we sold?" Most of the time it's because they might be on the wrong lake, at the wrong river. But then it's like, "Hey, you've been priced wrong this entire time." We had one, I had on Lake Buchanan, and I was the third agent on, and I was like, "Man, it's just priced wrong." We put it where it needed to be, and we had a contract in 10 days.
Yeah, unfortunately, like you said, a lot of sellers pick their agent based off the number the agent says and not their marketing. And Frank does a lot of tracking of his sales. In the last 2 years, his list price to sales price ratio is right around 96%. And I think y'all are very similar. A lot of other agents out there are like 75 to 80%. And so they know the name of the game. Like if I say the highest number, then I'll try to work them down. But in the meantime, I got free billboard space for buyers to call me. And literally when the buyers call them, they're like, well, why is this house overpriced? Oh, seller picked that, but I'm going to show you the one around the corner. It's priced to sell. And they get those buyer leads. We're in the market to sell listings, not collect them.
I do think what's challenging in the space that we work is there's nothing cookie cutter about it, right? I mean, if we look at your house here, Hunter, and we look at the one next door and the one next door, there are variables in there that a lot of agents just aren't familiar with. So therefore they don't know how to comp things. And so they come up with numbers that generally get skewed way on the high side, and it could be location oriented too. But, we just see numbers that get so far off, and said, yeah, I'm sure y'all do listing presentations and somebody else is $500,000 higher and it's unjustified, but again, they're enamored with the price. And so,
well, to double click on that, like you look at the peak activity is when you first hit the market. And so you have like the first 5-6 weeks is the most important part of marketing, because that's when the most activity, you're the new listing, you're the shiny new object. And if you're overpriced, you only have one chance at that first impression. And so if you do a reduction at week 6, month 6, year 1, you're now the stale listing. And those listings typically sell below market value.
Sure.
You know, Frank, he talked about in previous videos, like a house down the street that they wanted 1.3 for. And they wanted to go with us. And another agent had told them a higher price, but they called us and we were at $999. And we said, sorry, we're not going to take it. Because we know the name of the game. At the end of the day, at the end of the 6 months, they're going to go, it's your fault. Well, no, you told us the price. And like, oh, no, I'll never say that. They always come back and say that. So we don't, and then that one did slow reductions, and then it expired at $975, and now it's back on the market for 1.1. And it's become the stale listing. If they would have listed it at $999 right off the bat, they might have even gotten a multiple offer situation.
I had people interested in that property if the number would have been more realistic. So, case in point.
Yeah, that's a great point. The problem is a lot of times you'll talk to the agent and they'll be like, our seller is super motivated. Just bring us an offer. And, a buyer could be hesitant to really bring an offer at the right price, because it might be $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 less than the list price. And you don't want to offend the seller. Right. And so pricing is huge to be able to get those offers in to begin with. Billy actually has a listing that he took over on Buchanan. And one of the things that I think the previous agent maybe had one showing. And how many have you had since you listed it? 5. So I think our marketing, our video, pushing it out to the right people is huge. Not everybody understands. It's not just put it in the MLS and hope that the buyer sees it.
Put it in one MLS.
Yes.
Yeah. We go into 5.
and then even outside of that, I mean, I know here on the Guadalupe Lakes up there too, you have a network of these agents who are maybe not a member of any of these MLSs. Right. And y'all have kept track of those people. And so being able to communicate with people who aren't even in the MLS, agents that aren't in the MLS, to get the most money for your property, you got to get the most eyeballs.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the game.
And then on mistakes, each property is unique. So there's not like one standardized list of, hey, you got to repair this or do this. But as far as what we typically see is our tree guys really like us, because if you have a lake house and a buyer is buying a lake house, they want to be able to see the water. So picking up the canopy of the trees is a huge one.
How many listings have you lost because you actually got the trees lifted and they could see the water again?
Yeah. We've had some sellers pull the like they're like, never mind, we don't want to sell anymore.
Forgot it looked like that.
Like it's crazy, but it's just crazy how much of a difference that does. So what we try to do as on the listing side is make suggestions that put more money in your pocket than cost to do them. Mm-hmm. So there was one house I was selling on McQueenie. And really nice. It was like 5,500 square foot, double lot, 160 feet of waterfront, main lake. And it was great curb appeal. You walk in, kitchen was a little dated. You walk in the master bath and it was bright green Formica countertops. It did not match the rest of the quality of the house. Like it was high, probably 15-foot ceilings. It had a casita. Everything about that house was just like high end. Then you walked in the master bath and it was like, more. And then the seller kept going, well, I don't want to, if I do something, the new buyer might not like it. And I was the 3rd listing agent because he kept interviewing me, and going with other people that told him what agreed with him. And finally came back to me and he was like, what's wrong? And I was like, okay, I know that somebody else might not like what you're going to put in, but they definitely don't like what's here right now.
So let's try it.
I think you should roll the dice.
Yeah, this is not working.
Yep. We just did that on a house on LBJ. Actually, Brooke and I closed together, and it was listed. We were priced correctly. It was just a little dated, and it was just kind of a weird market last year with our high water event in July and stuff, and it just kind of sat. So we went back to the drawing board in December, looked at all of our feedback, and it was like, man, the kitchen was really the thing that people got stuck on. So they went through and did a complete kitchen remodel. Come to find out, some people that looked at it last June, her buyers were like, that's the one we want. And so doing those right, the correct.
Did they recover the amount of the renovation and then
Plus
some?
$50,000.
Yeah.
There you go, folks.
Dude, I thought it was more. I thought that, like, what they were, maybe willing to go to versus what it actually sold for prior to doing the kitchen remodel.
Yeah.
Would you say 50?
It's right at 50.
Before making those improvements, please meet with one of the listing agents so that
I would
we can
have
give
told them
advice
don't
on-
do the kitchen remodel, but it really did make a huge difference. Just walking in, opening up the views, opened up the kitchen, they loved it. So it really did make a big difference.
Yep.
Yep. And that's the case a lot of times. Even like when I go to sell my personal home, you're used to a lot of things. What you have on your list that needs to be done prior to listing typically does not match with what we have on our list that's going to help sell it faster and for more money. So getting with the right agent that can actually look at your specific property, give you the specific things that need to be done, and the right marketing, all put the most money in your pocket in the shortest time frame possible. So if you're looking to sell, give us a call. We'll see you on the water.